Get ready. They're coming again. John Miller, News 4, New York.
Well, if Lebetkin is convicted of obstruction of justice and bribery, he could go to jail for 20 years.
A man who owns a small business charges he did not get a lucrative contract to build mobile classrooms, even though he could do the work better and cheaper than a well-connected competitor. News 4's Gabe Pressman has that exclusive story.
Holy Spirit Parochial School in Crown Heights. Children from this Catholic school board these buses every day to take remedial reading, math, and English as a second language from dedicated public school teachers. These mobile classrooms used to comply with court rulings on separation of church and state. It's considered a worthy program, but behind the scenes, a battle has been raging between a small bus operator and the Board of Education that raises questions on whether the taxpayers are paying more than they should. Hy Antonoff, who owns a little garage on Bay Parkway, says the Board of Education gave him a dirty deal when he bid on a $35 million contract to build these mobile classrooms.
They just stone-facedly just stared at me, and nobody said anything or asked any questions.
What you were really saying was that under highly unusual circumstances, a little guy from Brooklyn who thought he had built a better bus was, to put it mildly, shafted by the New York City Board of Education without any reasonable explanation.
Exactly.
It was back in 1986 that Antonoff and his two sons altered a conventional school bus to meet the board's requirements for the new mobile classrooms. Then the board suddenly changed specifications, and Antonoff borrowed hundreds of thousands of dollars to meet the new requirements. He was told, in an official letter, that he had the contract for 20 buses, the other 50 to be awarded to a politically well-connected Bronx bus operator, Edward Aragoni, and his New York bus service. At the very last minute, Antonoff says, the Board of Education, meeting in closed session, pulled the rug out from under him. He blames Stephen Schwager, chief school business executive, for giving the entire contract to the highest bidder.
The chief business executive of the board proposed orally that all 70 vehicles be awarded to Aragoni.
And after the board voted, did you try to talk to Schwager?
Yeah, I went up to him and I said, what did you do here? What kind of business is this that has suddenly done this? And he says, see your lawyers.
Antonoff sued the board twice. A lower court ruled against him. He's appealing. Aragoni, once a client of the convicted former Bronx Democratic leader Stanley Friedman, maintains strong ties to the Bronx Democratic Organization. He's contributed his own buses and money to campaigns over the years. Aragoni refused to be interviewed on Antonoff's complaint, saying, I do not think it behooves New York Bus Service or Edward Aragoni to go on camera and answer allegations of a disenchanted bidder. The allegations are outrageous. It's a question of when did you stop beating your wife. City Controller Harrison J. Golden has been looking into this situation. He told us neither Aragoni nor Antonoff fully met the board's specifications, but he's interested in knowing why Aragoni, the highest bidder, got the award.
We need to find out, we don't know yet, whether the arrangement was structured or contrived in a way that was calculated to give business to New York Bus Company. I can't tell you that it was, but I can certainly tell you that it's an issue into which we're inquiring.
Here in Brooklyn, at Board of Education headquarters, a wall of silence. Stephen Schwager, the chief business executive for the board, who recommended that the contract be awarded to Aragoni, refused to answer our questions, and the board would not provide any other official to be interviewed either. In Brooklyn, at Board of Education headquarters, Gabe Pressman, News 4, New York.
Well, tomorrow on News 4 at 6, Gabe reports on a New York City official's investigation of the mobile classroom deal.
There is a new controversy tonight for Brooklyn DA Elizabeth Holtzman. Last night, News 4's Gabe Pressman reported charges from the owner of a small business that he was denied a contract for mobile classrooms simply because he didn't have the right connections. Tonight, as Gabe continues his exclusive report, he reveals a city official has launched an investigation.
Would you call what happened in the awarding of this contract strange?
Well, it has a stench about it. And the stench is of putrid meat. Now, whether we're going to find out when we're finished our examination that the meat is so rotten that it's got to be discarded, or whether only the rotten parts can be cut away, I don't know, but it doesn't smell right.
What bothers New York City Controller Harrison J. Golden is a contract for 70 mobile classrooms, such as this one, providing remedial instruction for parochial school students from public school teachers, this to conform with court decisions involving separation of church and state. The contract was awarded to politically well-connected Edward Aragoni, the big Bronx bus operator. Golden's auditors have been investigating the contract, and News 4 New York learns that Brooklyn DA Elizabeth Holtzman is looking into the matter, too. Aragoni was the high bidder, right?
There were 7 bidders here. The Board of Education disqualified 4 of them on the grounds that they had not come near meeting the requirements. Aragoni was the highest bidder.
One of Aragoni's competitors for this contract was Hy Antonoff, owner of a small Brooklyn bus company. He built a prototype to meet the board's original specifications, but then suddenly the board changed its requirements for the vehicles, forcing Antonoff to scramble to meet their demands.
We worked during the summer, 100 degrees heat.
How many buses did you build?
20.
You built 20.
Not completed.
How much did it cost you?
$1.5 million.
$1.5 million.
It's very difficult for small operators to compete effectively if at the last minute, in 2 weeks before the bid deadline, is virtually the last minute, the specifications are changed. The big operator with lots of resources, lots of vehicles, lots of access to materials, lots of capacity to finance can adjust very quickly. The small operator may find it difficult to do so and may be precluded, may be foreclosed.
Antonoff was told he had a contract, but virtually at the last minute, the Board of Education eliminated him. Nonetheless, Antonoff is proud of his handiwork. He thinks the vehicle he ultimately produced is better and safer than his successful competitors. For instance, he says it's quieter. We used the decibel meter and found that indeed the generator in Antonoff's classroom registered about 15 decibels less than in the Aragoni classroom. Antonoff's floor is flat, while Aragoni's has a wheel well in the way. Board officials have told Golden's auditors that Antonoff's classroom was built on an out-of-date chassis. Antonoff denies this. The mobile classroom contract will cost taxpayers $35 million in the next 5 years. In Philadelphia, News 4 New York learned, the taxpayers are getting off a lot cheaper. The mobile classrooms there cost about 1/4 of what they cost here.
Most communities around the country which need classrooms of this kind make do perfectly nicely with already made vehicles. And they pull out the beds and the sinks, and they've got classrooms. And they're much, much cheaper than having vehicles designed and built on a custom basis.
How much cheaper?
Oh, they can be hundreds of dollars cheaper a day, which can amount in this kind of a contract to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
The taxpayer just gets ripped off by whatever they favor to the highest bidders, and they're just in chaos.
It revolts you, because here we are dealing with what is probably the single most critical issue to this city's future, the education of young people. And it's managed by people who are either incompetent or thieves, or who apparently, based on the output, don't give a damn.
Golden said he's done other audits of the Board of Education and found mismanagement and worse. Board of Education officials and bus operator Aragoni have refused to be interviewed. Pat, Chuck?
Thank you.
Danger here, on every platform, in every tunnel, and when it burns, it can be deadly.
I've never encountered smoke like that.
Well, now City Controller Harrison Golden has released a report agreeing with him, and Gabe has the latest.
Why? We built exactly what they said, and then they said, and they suddenly changed the specs, and they said, no, you can't use this.
Hy Antonoff was vindicated today, but it gave him no pleasure. An official report from the City Controller's office saying he was right all along when he charged the Board of Education had given him and the taxpayers a raw deal.
After the bid was over, they changed the bid to fit only the highest bidder's requirements. And how they get away with this and waste everybody's money and cheated me, I don't know.
Back in '86, Antonov, a small bus operator in Bensonhurst, tried to get a multi-million-dollar contract from the Board of Education and lost out to a big company that was politically well-connected. The aim? To provide buses like this one parked outside a parochial school in Brooklyn, mobile classrooms where public school teachers could instruct parochial school children in remedial reading and other subjects. Antonov and his sons devised a model he thought satisfied the board's requirements, but the board, he says, suddenly changed the specifications. Antonov borrowing hundreds of thousands of dollars to meet the new requirements, winning a contract for 20 buses, then abruptly losing it as the board gave the order to a higher bidder. Edward Aragoni, owner of New York Bus Service, a close friend of the convicted Bronx Democratic leader Stanley Friedman. Today, City Controller Harrison Golden's office issued an audit recommending that the Board of Education not renew the contract for the 89-90 school year.
I'd like to see the Board of Education do what every other school system in America does, which buys or leases mobile classrooms. Use standardized vehicles. They don't have to be custom made. We waste $2.5 million a year. That's the equivalent of a dropout prevention program in 50 or 60 additional public schools in New York.
The board insisted it would be illegal to cancel the contract now, said it expected to be leasing additional mobile classrooms for the coming school year. An Aragoni spokesman said the timing of Golden's audit was political. At his little shop in Bensonhurst today, Antonov expressed bitterness.
You're sadder? You're wiser? Sadder and wiser, and I just now look at politics and things like this now, not as naive as I always believed when I was brought up in school. I thought it was honest, everything was, you know, legal and honest and everything. Now, it takes a lot out of you to feel that you're in such a system.
Hi Antonov has given up on making it big in the school bus business and in dealing with the Board of Education. In this city, he says, it's not what you know, but who you know that counts. In Brooklyn, Gabe Pressman, News 4, New York.
Golden's auditors found that the successful bidder, Aragoni, had vehicles that were far more expensive and took longer to build.